we have realized that you like to watch even the new recipes. And sometimes when we're making the new recipes, we have little blunders.
Or we have complete duds.
Yes.
That we can't salvage.
So
pork chops. There was a creamy pork chop recipe that we haven't talked about it in a long time. That was like a couple of years ago, but it was bad.
We've had a few recipes over the years that are bad. We have like the majority are
amazing.
Unbelievable.
Amazing. They do not end up on the website. They do not end up in the club. The bad ones. The amazing ones are all there.
Yeah, there was one like fairly recently that was also,
That's the Hungarian.
Yeah, the Hungarian one was bad, and then the Philly cheesesteak was
it was such a bust. I had such high hopes. Because our chicken Philly cheesesteak is like chef's kiss, and the regular steak Philly cheesesteak just kind of went wah wah. And really flavor-wise, it might be worth revisiting again in the future, but this just wasn't the recipe.
So if you have a really good tried and true Philly cheesesteak recipe, bonus points if it freezes well and you know that, can you put it in the comments so that we can do more experimenting with that? Because we do think it's worth trying again.
Oh, we should absolutely revisit it. Definitely. Now, the ones we have today are definitely going to be winners. Listen, we've been doing this a while. We do know what freezes well. We know what doesn't. We can use that experience and knowledge to make, can I say kick-ass freezer meals on YouTube? I think we can. I think we can because they are that good. These will be winners, I promise.
We might have to say kick butt.
We're gonna be one of those channels.
Anyway, this first one is one that I've been talking about inventing my own version of for 2 years. And finally we're doing it today.
Yeah, we're doing it.
And that is baked ziti. Now, it's got sausage and ricotta and like Parmesan and mozzarella. Like, it's got cheeses.
It's got red sauce.
It's going to obviously taste like, what's another word for...
Good. It's going to taste amazing. It's going to be delectable. It's going to be
delicious.
Orgasmic. Oh
my goodness.
Who am I today?
All of them today.
I am.
We're going to get a censored channel today.
We might. Sorry, this is the Spicy Freezer Meals 101 today. Let's not get carried away.
We are using spicy Italian sausage.
Yeah, we are.
So it's going to be an extra spicy recipe. Okay, we're going to grab out our ingredients and get this one started with you. We've cooked the pasta up ahead. The trick for pasta, if you're going to be freezing it, is that you want to undercook it. So we undercooked it according to the package directions by a minute or two. We also ran it under cool water.
To stop the cooking.
That way, we're going to do two things. One is when you reheat this, you're not going to get mushy pasta because it's going to continue to cook a little bit in the sauce, and we don't want mushy freezer meals. We like things to not only taste good, but also have good texture. First thing that we did with that, and the second thing we did is by running it under cold water, this is going to be cool already when we put it into our freezer bag, and that's important because if you put warm or hot ingredients into your freezer bag, then it causes condensation in your bag. It changes the recipe because you change like the moisture amount in there, but also it can lead to freezer burn, and that affects taste and quality and all that. So don't want that. We also went ahead and prepped all the other ingredients yesterday so that, first of all, so that it's less work today and we're on our feet for less time and it's more fun because we just get to throw it together and assemble it and it's awesome. But also because we wanted those ingredients to cool. So our ground Italian sausage is browned, but it's also cooled because it's been in the fridge overnight. So we're gonna grab those and be right back. All right, Christy already talked a little bit about our red sauce, and I'm gonna just tell you a little bit more about this. So this is our red sauce. We're using this in place of marinara or pasta sauce in this recipe today because it's just got layers of flavor. It's so good. It's basically just a homemade pasta sauce. But we made this in a live cooking class that we did 2 months ago with our Freezer Meals 101 Club members. We do a monthly live cooking class with them. And in that live, we made a bunch of meals that use the red sauce. I think 2 of the recipes.
2. We made lazy chicken parmesan, which is amazing. Chef's kiss, orgasmic, all the things. The other one, I just had to look really quick because it was bothering us both that we couldn't remember. It was spaghetti sauce, which sounds really anticlimactic, but when you make it with the red sauce, it just takes it to a new level for spaghetti sauce. And it's homemade spaghetti sauce. And you're thinking, why would I want to make a freezer meal of spaghetti sauce? Because when Charlotte and I first started making freezer meals together, like over 12 years ago, she recommended, like, why don't we make some spaghetti sauce? And I'm like, no. I'll open up a jar of Prego, thank you.
I'm fine.
And so the next time, she's like, we should make some spaghetti sauce. And I'm like, I'm good. Third time, we should make some spaghetti sauce. I'm like, fine, we'll make the spaghetti sauce. And then I got it. Then I understood why it was so special.
Because she tasted my spaghetti
Because
sauce.
I tasted her spaghetti sauce. And I'm like, okay, we're making this every time now because it is that good. Every time we make red sauce, we always have spaghetti sauce. And you're thinking, what is the big deal about having homemade spaghetti sauce in your freezer? It's just spaghetti sauce. Can't you throw a few things together? I'm going to tell you why. And actually, this is why freezer meals are important every day, not just spaghetti sauce. It's because in the morning or the night before, when I am not thinking about supper that day or the following day, I can easily take something out, I can let it thaw, and I can go about my day. And at that 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, where you start to look at your watch and start to have the panic of what am I going to make for supper, I don't feel that because I have some spaghetti sauce sitting right there that I'm going to just heat up really quick. And it's going to take no time at all. I'm going to cook some spaghetti and bam, we are going to have a nice spaghetti dinner. It's got vegetables in it. I can throw a salad with it. I can, make some garlic toast. It just comes together so easily.
The meat's already cooked.
The meat's already cooked,
and
really.
You got the meat on sale and you made 4 of them because then you can take advantage of the sale or whatever. Maybe you made 2, but
Yeah.
and it's just, and you dirtied the one dish to make 4 when you were
At the time.
the skillet, right?
Today I'm only cleaning the pot I'm cooking it in and the spoon that I'm stirring it with. It is just such a relief to not have to have that anxiety of what I'm going to cook. And there was a point of time where I hated cooking every day because I'm like, I have to think of this every single day, and I don't feel that anymore.
And I love cooking. I
Right?
just don't like trying to figure out what to make. Like,
Right.
it's the anxiety for me.
Yes.
That, okay, so back to our red sauce.
The spaghetti sauce is not in this video, but we will put a link down below for that one since we've talked it up so much.
So the red sauce, which is the base of the spaghetti sauce, when we did that video, we had purposely planned it so that everybody would have some leftover red sauce to bag up because it's so nice to go in a bunch of other recipes. Like we put it in our Spanish rice, in our meatball subs, in our chicken cacciatore.
Really, anything that calls for pasta sauce,
Totally.
we would use the red sauce in
We
place.
also use this as a pizza sauce. So when I knew that we were making this today, I just took this out, thawed it, and we're gonna be using this in our baked ziti. So this is like homemade from like start to finish, other than we did not make the pasta. Although Christy has sometimes made pasta.
I have sometimes made pasta. I will let you know we did not can the tomatoes.
No, I guess it's not completely scratched.
I did not milk the cow or make the cheese, but you know what I mean. Something that you could, buy pre-made, pre-frozen, that is going to be wildly more flavorful, wildly more nutritious, and delicious.
All right, let's get to assembling this.
Woo.
All right, so we've got our undercooked, cooled noodles that have been drained. In a bowl, we're gonna mix together some ricotta, an egg, some shredded mozzarella cheese, and some Parmesan, fresh basil, Italian seasoning, red pepper flakes, and some salt and pepper. We're gonna put our pasta into a foil tray. You could also do this in a casserole dish if you prefer. Then we're gonna add in that ricotta mixture and our red sauce, as well as our cooked and cooled sausage. We're gonna just stir this well. We're gonna stir it right up in our casserole dish just so that we're not dirtying any more dishes. We might as well do it this way. And then we are going to top that with another cup of mozzarella cheese and a little bit more Parmesan. We're gonna cover that with plastic wrap and then with foil. We're going to make a note on our label to be sure to take off the plastic wrap on the day we go to cook this, because otherwise we might forget and accidentally cook our plastic wrap. We've made that mistake before, and now we always make a note on our label. We get this in our freezer, and the day you go to make it, you thaw it, you take off that plastic wrap, recover it with your foil, and you're just gonna bake this at 375 for like 25-30 minutes. If you want, you can uncover it for 5 minutes or so just to make sure that all the cheese melts and it's like beautifully ooey gooey. This would be great just served with a side salad. So I'm always on the hunt for more recipes, just in general, but I'm especially always on the hunt for beef recipes because in the Freezer Meals 101 Club, we've got these easy filter buttons, so you can just push one button and filter by like cooking method or protein or like all kinds of things, different diets and whatnot. But one of them is protein, and it's really obvious which one has the most because there's a number beside each one. So it's like chicken, and there's over 100 recipes. And then like beef has 80 something, which
I'm shocked. I'm not shocked. Do you want to know why? Because of the duo, one of us doesn't eat beef.
And I'm also the recipe inventor, so.
And she will point out there's a lot of vegetarian meals too.
The vegetarian number is growing because I tend to steer a little bit more in that direction. But with the beef thing, like my family eats beef. Most of my family, other than one daughter. Christy's family loves beef, so I try, I really do.
She does a great job.
But I know that it's lacking, and so I'm always on the lookout. And when I heard about beef barbacoa, I heard about it a couple years ago, but then somebody in our Facebook group, they shared pictures of them making it as a freezer meal, and they shared their recipe.
Yes. And so Charlotte kind of just went to town, and you know, part of the process is the research, right? And so she's looking at like a million different beef barbacoa recipes because you want to be able to make it so that it's freezer mealerizable. I don't even know if that's a word. We want to make it freezer mealable, and so that it can go in the freezer and that it's going to work, that it's not going to be mushy, that it's still going to taste good, that it's still going to like check all the boxes. And so there's a lot of thought and effort that gets put into these recipes.
I want to make sure that, you know, it tastes amazing and maybe a little better than what else is out there. And with beef, it's a little trickier because I'm not necessarily eating it myself, but I do know what flavors go well and what historically we have liked and other people like. And so I did my very best. We'll see if this works out, but I think it's going to be great.
I'm sure it's going to be fantastic. Let's get into it. Into your bag, you're going to add your chuck roast cut into 3-inch chunks. You could use stew meat for this as well if that's what you have. You're going to add in diced onion, a can of chilies and adobo sauce, minced garlic, lime juice, cider vinegar, cumin, oregano, ground cloves, salt, pepper, bay leaves, and some beef broth. You're going to just mix these right in the bag. You don't have to worry about extra dishes because the bag is now your bowl. And you're going to get that excess air out of there because the air is what causes your freezer burn. We're going to seal it up and we're going to freeze it. On the day you go to cook this, you are going to throw it right into your slow cooker. You're going to cook it on low for 8 or 9 hours. You're going to shred this baby up. You can serve it over rice, with tortillas, tortilla chips, on salad. You could top it with some cilantro. This is going to be delicious, but it has those chipotle chilies and adobo sauce. So I'm going to tell you right now that this one is going to be a spicy. It's going to be really spicy. It reminds me of the Dr. Pepper pulled pork, which is another very spicy one. So I'll tell you what we do with that one because my house doesn't super love the spice the way Charlotte's house does. Charlotte's house could probably have 2 cans of those chilies in there. And with us, I take the chilies out before I even put it in the slow cooker, or I might leave 1 chili in. and then I will take it out before shredding. She will shred all of the chilies in with the meat. So these are spicy, spicy. It's going to be like I'm crocheting right now, and the pattern calls it a real knuckle buster because it's going to be tough. This one's going to be like a taste bud popper. That's what is going to happen because it's spicy. You might have the little flames happening on top of your head, I think.
Absolutely. And we do love the Dr. Pepper pulled pork. And like Christy said, I just shred the peppers up right in there. But I do have kind of a funny story about our Dr. Pepper pulled pork. A bit ago.
Oh, yes, you do.
We were in the mountains on a vacation. Now, I say vacation super loosely because it was what was supposed to be our summer vacation, but it didn't go well. The toddler didn't adjust to being away from home. He didn't sleep ever. Like it was like 20-minute bit. Like he was up for hours in the middle of the night. And then you're thinking about like, it's shared, like not shared accommodation, but I mean you're sharing a wall with someone
like
on
it's a
the other
condo
side,
style, right?
And so you're very aware that you're probably ruining somebody else's vacation as well when your toddler is screaming at 4 in the morning and 2 in the morning and 3 in the morning and 1 in the morning and 11:30 and anyway, all the things. And then during the day, it was kind of a nightmare too. Like we couldn't lock the door to the outside, so he was like escaping every time. We didn't even turn our backs, like right in front of us he was escaping. It was just, and he was grouchy from all the not sleeping.
And somebody else might have been grouchy from not sleeping.
Totally. like it was so bad. Anyway, we came home 4 days early of 7, and 2 of the days we were gone were travel days. It was just bad. Like it was not a vacation. However, one thing that kind of made it worthwhile, like I say kind of because it's still sort of fresh in my mind, is I have a cousin who lives in another province, and she's my age. We were close growing up, and like it's one of those relationships where you don't see each other for a really long time, and you can just reconnect, and like it's like no time has passed. And she texted me and was like, do you happen to be here? Because she knows that we go to this place in the mountains from time to time. It used to be more often, but now, who wants to make a 7-hour drive with a toddler? Yeah. Anyway, she was like, do you guys happen to be here? Because her family was there for one of her sons was bike racing there, like at the place we were at. Right. And I'm like, I sure am. So I was about to go on the gondola. I'd taken the baby for a walk, and he'd fallen asleep in the stroller because he would sleep in the stroller, in the vehicle, on a bike that he was riding.
Which wasn't safe.
That one was dangerous. But he would not sleep in the bed or the playpen or the floor or our bed or anywhere. But anyway, so he's asleep in the stroller. And I'm like, yeah, I'm just about to go up the gondola. She's like, I'll meet you at the top. Then we're standing there visiting, and I'm like, why don't you guys come for supper tonight? Here is another thing about the beauty of freezer meals, is that no notice, I'm 20-minute drive each way from a grocery store, so it's not like I can just run out and get groceries, but I can actually invite someone for dinner. Like, it's amazing.
That is kind of amazing.
So I knew I had Dr. Pepper pulled pork.
And it feeds a crowd.
It always feeds a crowd. I knew that I had buns and coleslaw that I could put on top. I didn't have mayo to put on top of the coleslaw, but I used some jalapeno ranch salad dressing, and that works in a pinch. But then they get there, and I'm like, oh, I'm just realizing now that this is spicy, and I don't know. I hardly know her husband. Like, I've met him like at their wedding and one other time. And I don't know her kids, and they're teens, but not all teens are into spicy food. So then I'm like, so what's your spice tolerance like? Oh my goodness, good thing I asked before I shredded this thing. Anyway, they both said medium. So I took most of the peppers out, shredded it. It all worked out. They loved it. Her husband raved about it. So they were really happy. We were able to have a semi-relaxing visit. But at least we were able to see them, which was great. But yes, that is my chipotle pepper story. Is that...
I have a question about that. Did you get it thawed in time?
Oh, yes. Okay.
So I get a text in the middle of all of this because we'd been texting back and forth, and I knew about the baby not sleeping, and I knew it had been a little rough. However, I get this text and said, how can I defrost a Dr. Pulled Pork faster? I have it in there, but it needs to go faster. And so
I hadn't taken it out for that day.
Because you weren't expecting extra people.
No, and I was planning to have it later in the week, and my nieces and their families were all there at the same time that we were, and that was planned. So I was planning that one night we would invite one of them over. We didn't, because we left the next morning. But anyway, that was my plan. So I had not pulled that out. I had pulled out like pasta puttanesca or pasta pomodoro maybe. Anyway, I pulled out a pasta sauce because it's a thin bag, it thaws quickly, and it was just going to be like we didn't have our whole family there, we just had a few kids with us, so it was just going to feed us. So yes, I had not pulled it out, met with her, had a visit with her like on the hill, and then came back with the sleeping toddler and was like,
I gotta throw this sucker on high.
Frozen thing out. And I'm like, oh, they're gonna be here in 4 hours.
Yes. So my advice was throw it in the defrost mode in your microwave, and as it defrosts, cut that part off, get it into the slow cooker, put the frozen part back into the microwave. That's what I do. Like, if you ever have that panic of, I'm gonna cook this ground beef up, and you have to defrost it really fast. You can do it that way, and I've done that many, many times. So I'm like, well, it's just bigger. You just do it with a roast. I think it would be okay. And did it work out?
Okay, so I'm glad you asked me because it's not the greatest story. But anyway, so I go to I'm like, this is a good idea, right? And Christy's full of those, so whatever. We just
I'm nothing if not practical.
Right. And I take a plate and I take it out, this frozen hunk of meat, I take it out of my slow cooker and I put it on the plate and I put it in the microwave, and there is no defrost button on this microwave.
Oh.
And I'm going square by square, and I'm like, sure, and there's the popcorn button, and there's a thing if you want to cook your pizza pocket. Like a pizza pocket. I'm like, I guess a lot of people eat pizza pockets because it's a button on this microwave, but there is no defrost. And so I'm like, I don't know what to do because I don't want to cook this thing, and I don't want it to be tough. So then I'm like, power level 1?
Oh, good. You adjusted the power level. That would be my suggestion. I would have probably done it at 40%.
Well, power level 1 was too much.
Was it? Did you cook some of it?
It cooked a little. But anyway, it was still good. We still had a visit. The flavors are delicious. Always.
Oh, yeah.
But that was a really long story to tell you about adobo peppers, but beef barbacoa.
Beef barbacoa. Here we are. We have these beautiful recipes that we're showing you today, and we're talking about totally other food. But that's okay, because we know that these are the tried and true ones.
Those are tried and true. So we will put the link for Dr. Pepper pulled pork and spaghetti sauce in the comments. Description.
I have one more comment to say about what to do if you have a frozen beef. And now or a frozen pork roast. This is just straight up the roast, though. This isn't like ours is a freezer meal where it has all the spices, it has all the everything. If you have a hunk of roast that you need to defrost now, or at least have it, later in the day. Do you remember the company's cooking cookbooks? We talk about these every once in a while because the lady who made them, Jean Perret, she was a local lady, so she's a little bit of a local celebrity. She's passed away a few years ago now.
She's from Vermilion, so it's a few hours away, but yes.
Yeah, but they were manufactured in our city. And in one of her cookbooks, in her slow cooker cookbook, which has cakes in it, by the way. You can cook a cake in a slow cooker. It's called Emergency Pot Roast.
Oh, okay.
And you want to put your roast in, and you're going to put it on high, and you are going to pour in 4 cups of boiling water. Because that will be enough. The thing is, you don't want to usually cook with frozen food in a slow cooker because there's going to be that period of time where it's going to be at an unsafe temperature, bacteria, all the things. And this will prevent that. This will be your way around that. So once you're at a certain point, because now you have all this liquid in there, once it's thawed, you could remove liquid, or you could start adding your potatoes, adding your carrots, adding some onion, and then you do have a lovely pot roast and your seasonings and whatnot. So I couldn't give you that advice because we had all the seasonings and all the sauce in there. But I thought, okay, get your defrost going, and I guess next time take a manual. I can't believe there's a microwave out there that doesn't have a defrost button.
I was like, surely I'm missing a button. I'm just not reading this right. But anyway, I wasn't. So you just never know what tips you're going to get here.
This vast life experience that we have. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I would like you to put in the comments what is your best emergency scenario for food. Like what was your emergency success? And I'd like to hear your emergency failures too, because those are always funny, and it's okay because we all have them.
And we're gonna move along to our chorizo sweet potato skillet. I'm really excited about this one. Like, I was excited about the baked ziti too. I'm obviously personally not excited about the beef barbacoa, but I am excited about another beef recipe.
Yes, of course.
And I'm excited for all the beef lovers out there. This one, I'm excited about it because sweet potato is a flavor I love. Chorizo is a flavor, it's just so flavorful. I love a skillet meal, like a good skillet meal comes together, cooks really quickly, which is handy. But also, fall is coming. I know you don't like me to say that.
No.
It's not, it's not tomorrow or anything.
It's not imminent, but
it is coming.
It's coming.
And in the fall,
I get crabby about it because I love summer. However, last week was a little bit much.
Oh, so
and it's
hot.
going to be again.
I know.
But
heat wave. But we like to share fall recipes with you in the fall, but we like to share ones that are tried and true, that are that we can guarantee, you should make this. And we're not yet saying you should make this about this chorizo sweet potato skillet because verdict's out. Okay, so we're gonna grab things. We're gonna come back. When I went to invent this, I was a little bit worried because I have to back up a step. Raw potato doesn't freeze well. Sweet potatoes do. We have got some really, really, really good recipes that use sweet potato. And for this, I thought, okay, I'm thinking about skillet and sort of something that you could do either for breakfast or dinner. And it just kind of was thinking, I also really like a lot of color. Right. So you can probably see here, look at all this color that we've got happening.
Very pretty.
Which is good for me. But I'm sort of conceptualizing this and I'm thinking, okay, but in our other sweet potato recipes, we use big cubes of sweet potato. So for this, I wanted it to cook up quickly, so I went ahead and cubed up the sweet potato really tiny so that we can, it'll cook up a lot faster and you don't have to wait because the chorizo is already cooked. So this is just gonna be almost a reheat, although we do want our vegetables to soften a bit. But like I said, with skillet meals, you want them to just be ready.
Right.
And if it is still summer, like it is now, you don't want to heat the house up a whole lot. So that's another benefit to having it cook quickly. So we're gonna use our sweet potato really finely diced. And we're just gonna throw this together, throw it in a bag, and then on the day of cooking, it's just gonna cook.
In our Freezer Meals 101 Club, there is a keyword section where you can type in 30 minutes or less. And the recipes that, the skillet recipes, the quick reheats, whatever, will pop up. And those recipes are great for on the fly.
So into our large freezer bag, we're gonna add that chorizo sausage that's been cooked and sliced. Then we're gonna add in the diced purple onion, diced green pepper, a diced red pepper, then some minced garlic from a jar, and those diced sweet potatoes. Then we're gonna add in some cumin, chili powder, and red pepper flakes. We're gonna give this all a toss in our bag, get out all of the excess air, of course, so we don't get freezer burn. We're gonna freeze it. On the day we go to make this, we are actually gonna need a little bit of olive oil in the skillet before we throw the thawed bag contents in there. But then we're just gonna fry this up, cook it for about 5 minutes, stirring here and there, and then we're gonna cover it and stir it once in a while just until that sweet potato is soft. If you need to, you can add a little bit of water to this step and that'll make it cook up faster. Either way, I think this is gonna be so good. Like I was saying earlier, where you could do it as a breakfast thing, I think you could even add eggs in towards the end of cooking.
Oh, I think you could. Yeah.
But once we have actually frozen it and made it, then we'll be able to tell you, like, maybe the sweet potatoes are not going to cook the way I think they are. Maybe this needs more moisture.
Sauce or more something. We'll figure it out. And if it's worth saving, we will tweak it, and it will be a freezer meal that we are proud to present to you.
Exactly. We're still at the experimental stage, so we're like, don't try this at home.
Our families are used to being guinea pigs.
They are really good sports about it.
They are.
I have to
And
say.
they are very honest about their feedback, which is important.
Yes.
There is a woman in our Facebook group, her name is Carrie, and she gives these full reports of what they've had weekly and like literally the words that have come out of her family's mouths. And it is overwhelmingly positive,
Yes.
of course, because we have run it through its paces. But it is really a joy to watch, to read the things that they say. It's quite funny.
The thing that I think is so funny about it is that I feel like I'm starting to get to know her family's personalities through what they say about things.
I think you're
and
right.
even like their tastes and stuff. So I'm super enjoying that. So Carrie, keep it up. And if any of the rest of you want to post your reviews and family's quotes on the recipes that you've tried, you can go ahead and do that either here in the comment section on YouTube or in our Freezer Meals 101 Facebook group, and you can find the link for that in the description below. You can just find all kinds of things in the description.
It's all there. We got it all covered.
Our local grocery store has this, they call it Plenty for 20 sale, and it's just periodically, so you can get like 4 packs of meat for $20, or if it's on 15% off day, then you're getting 4 packs of meat for $17, which is like pretty darn amazing. But it's not any meat, it's like specific packages. So you never know until you get there. Even if you see it in the flyer, you don't know until you arrive what it's gonna be. Then you kind of have to make decisions on the fly. So the last time that they had a Plenty for 20 sale, they had like a beef and ground, or pork and ground beef combo that you could get in this sale. And so I was like, surely I can make something with that.
Of course.
And I grabbed a couple packages of it because, you know, it's inexpensive and surely I can think of something. And, you know,
The obvious answer to me automatically was meatballs. I think you could do a lasagna with it, because our lasagna in the club, although it's with Italian ground sausage, not with ground pork, you could do it with ground pork. I think meatballs are just the obvious answer here.
I agree.
Yeah.
And so we figured that
That's
we would
what we did.
invent a meatball recipe, but because we had leftover shredded mozzarella cheese from making the baked ziti, I decided that, you know, when we're doing all of these meals together, we might as well use the mozzarella and make these into mozza stuffed meatballs.
Absolutely, because that is just kind of like, it just elevates it in a whole different direction. I don't know if elevated is the right word.
Yeah, elevated might not be the right word, but I get where you're going with it. Because it's just like we have quite a few different
We have a lot of meatball recipes. We have a whole video of just meatball recipes.
Oh, I'll put that video up there.
Okay.
For someone that does not eat beef.
We have a lot of meatball recipes. Caveat, most of them are pre-cooked frozen meatballs with really great sauces. There are some made from scratch meatballs. So these are made from scratch.
A sweet and sour from scratch meatballs, the Italian keto
meatballs.
ones.
And I think
these ones,
these ones.
and then one other one.
These are our Mozza stuffed beef and pork meatballs. We're going to start out with our ground beef mixture, ground beef and pork mixture. We're going to add in breadcrumbs, grated Parmesan cheese, minced onion powder, minced garlic, Italian seasoning, salt, pepper, a little bit of parsley, some lightly beaten eggs, and some milk. We're going to mix that around together, and then we're going to start making our balls and start forming them. So what I did here was made all my balls first and then attempted to stuff the cheese in here, and you'll see that when I go to put the cheese in, they don't stick together very nicely, and I decided pretty early on that this is going to be a better recipe if we make it again, which I think we will, but we're going to have to do it with cubed cheese instead of the shredded cheese. So once I get it all in there, it was a bit of a fight, but I did win. I got them all onto my tray. We're going to get that into the oven. We're going to cook it at 375 for 15 minutes. We're going to let them cool a bit. Then we're going to get them onto a different tray, clean tray, with some parchment paper, and then we're going to freeze these individually. So once they are fully frozen, we can transfer them into our freezer bag and they won't stick together. And that way you can take out as many as you want, or you could do the whole batch, but they won't be sticking together, and it will be a much more pleasant experience for you on the user end. I will guarantee that. So we're going to get the excess air out of that, and we're going to seal them up. Now here you have a choice. You could attach a bag of pasta sauce. You could attach a bag of red sauce if you happen to have some. Or if you are the kind of person that always seems to have some pasta sauce in your pantry, you can just go ahead and freeze these the way these are. If you're going to attach them, make sure that you staple above the seal, not below, or it gets leaky and then it's a big mess. And then get this into your freezer. On the day of cooking, you're going to thaw this. Now, here's a twist you didn't see coming. This sucker's a slow cooker recipe. You're going to put a bit of that sauce in the bottom of your slow cooker. You're going to dump in your meatballs. Then you're going to add the remainder of your sauce and just cook them 2.5 hours on low. They're really already cooked, so you're letting your flavors meld. You're letting your cheese get melty again. And if you don't have a slow cooker or you don't have that kind of time, you can definitely do this in a casserole dish. 1 hour at 350 in your oven, and Bob's your uncle.
I think these, they're messy because
they're messy because of the way we did the cheese, I think.
Right. So again, we said we're going to be real with you today, and this was a bit of a blunder, like not a purposeful blunder, but it was like me being like, oh, let's use the mozzarella from here in here, and it would have been better with the cubed.
Now, here's something. We use mozzarella from the store that's been pre-shredded. When you buy it like that, it comes with a coating on it so that it is non-stick. So sometimes they use potato starch, sometimes they use cellulose, which is a tree product. It's totally edible. It is just something that they put on it. We do it ourselves. If I am grating cheese that I'm going to use tomorrow, it will clump together unless I add cornstarch. So I add cornstarch right into my cheese, and you'll see me in videos doing it, in prep videos and stuff, because it really makes it nice and loose the next day. Otherwise it clumps. In hindsight, because we used the purchased mozzarella shredded, it wouldn't clump together very nicely because it had stuff on there, so it wouldn't clump. Like, hello. If we were doing it ourselves, we could leave that off. But the obvious answer here is to put it into chunks.
So yeah, we didn't quite get that right, but we've had far worse accidents in the past and far worse on camera. The last mega session that we did.
Oh, yes.
I'm going to pop a link to it right up there in case you want to laugh at us too. I don't know. We had, between the two of us, 3 separate times we had bags.
We had bags fall. It was...
And, that never happens
That never happens to us. Very, very seldom. And it was a bit of a, calamity. That's a weird one. I'm going to tell you a book club story later if there's time, because it came from a book and it's really funny and I have to tell you about it. But it was a calamity.
And the whole mega
session was a calamity.
Our heads weren't quite in it, our hearts weren't exactly in it, really. And if you watch the video, you'll understand why. But oh my goodness, it was.
We persevered. You can do freezer meals even when you are in the depths of despair. And if you caught the Anne of Green Gables reference there, we love you. And because it was a really hard time for us, but we still pushed through because we had already bought the food. We prepped the stuff. And we had raw chicken in our fridge. We had to do it.
Like it was what it was. But yes, we pushed through. We did it, and actually, some of our best recipes of all time,
fantastic recipes,
invented in that or for that video. Like it's actually really good food.
I know, and there were some that were brand new that we will tweak, and you will see them again. I'm still thinking about those dynamite chicken drumsticks.
Yeah,
I think we definitely have to freeze them individually.
We have to figure out a way.
We'll do it.
Flavors were.
Oof.
Anyway, some of those were just instant wins, though.
Absolutely.
You should check that out. We'll put a link at the very, very end of this video because you should keep watching because we're gonna share more recipes. You know how earlier I was saying that we used the shredded mozzarella because we had it from the baked ziti. We used it in the meatballs, which in hindsight wasn't the best plan, but. The point is that when you are making a whole bunch of recipes at once, it really saves time and money if you use similar ingredients and if you find ways to use things in multiple recipes, because then you're using the entire package, or you're able to take advantage of a sale, or you're saving time on your prep because you have everything out anyway. Like we've already used sweet potatoes, and if we use sweet potatoes again, then when we do our prep, like we did yesterday, then we're peeling a bunch of sweet potatoes instead of one, and we're dicing a bunch of sweet potatoes. Well, honestly, it was 4 small ones, so it would have been 2
larger ones.
But you get what I'm saying. It just makes more sense to do more at one time. And so we are gonna do this sweet potato lentil dal recipe. I think the colors are gonna be beautiful for fall. Again, we're not quite in fall, but just
it's coming.
It is eventually going to arrive. And I think the flavors of this, I'm excited. I like anything with this kind of curried kind of flavors, and so I think it's gonna be a winner. Into our large freezer bag, we're gonna add those cute little diced sweet potato bits, and then some red lentils, diced onion, minced garlic, minced ginger. We just use it from a squeezy tube because it saves time that way and it's still nice and fresh. Some curry powder, lime juice for some extra freshness, salt, and vegetable broth. Then we're just going to squish all of that together in the bag. I was saying to Christy that this is kind of one color.
It was very orange.
It's orange and yellow. It's pretty. God, I don't know. It's still,
lots of keratin.
Yes.
Lots of keratin. Yeah. Good for your eyes.
So you get your bag, sealed after you get the air out. You get it into your freezer. On the day you go to make this.
Keratin? Keratin is for your hair.
I don't know.
What is it in carrots that makes your eyes good? It's the vitamin A, but it's keratin. The green is chlorophyll. That's what makes plants green. I'm sure it's keratin that makes carrots orange, but I said keratin, but I was mixing. That's what you put to make your hair. It's a protein for your hair. Freezer meal tips with Christy. You're getting all kinds of stuff today. Sorry to interrupt you, Charlotte. Continue with your wonderful thing while people go and Google if it's keratin or keratin.
Okay. I don't know. It's carrot-like. I don't know. Either sound fine to me. But you're
sometimes
right.
Sometimes I sound really smart until I don't actually know what I'm talking about, and then I totally tell you that I don't know what I'm talking about.
Well, at least you tell them so that you're not.
Yeah, I'm not pretentious.
False information.
You're gonna have to fact check me.
But not when it comes to freezer tips.
I know my freezer tips.
Okay, so on the day we go to make this, thaw it. You're gonna put it in your slow cooker for actually quite a long time. If you cook it on low, it's 6 to 8 hours. Or you could cook it on high for less than that. Or if you don't have a slow cooker, or you for some reason don't want to use it for this, you could just do this in a stovetop pot, and you'd want to stir it occasionally, but you just simmer it until your sweet potato is soft and those lentils are soft. This would be really nice on rice, of course. I would probably have it on a basmati or jasmine rice. You could sprinkle some fresh cilantro if you wanted on top of that. And I think I think it's going to be really like flavorful.
Keep watching, and we will come back eventually with some of our reviews. So make sure you subscribe and hit that little bell, and you'll get the notification. And you'll be like, "Oh, new video! Maybe they'll tell us about the sweet potato doll."
And we do.
We do. We let you know.
Future videos, we will tell you about the very big misses. And okay. So we recently I had invented in that mega session that we were talking about, the one with like the bags that fell over and like
the Calamity. Yeah.
The Calamity. We had some leftover. We had bought extra, sort of on purpose, sort of an accident. I can't really totally remember at this point, but I think it was sort of on purpose, of the bone-in chicken.
Oh.
And we had never made recipes with bone-in chicken before, but we were making a chicken tagine, which needed it, and so we thought we'd invent something else as well. And I made a baked Italian chicken and just invented it on the spot with things that we had, because we had some panko breadcrumbs left over from something else we were making.
And we always have like buckets of Italian seasoning around, so that's easy.
And lemon, and I'm not sure what all, you'd have to check out the video to see what else was in there. But I recently had mine, and I just saw that it was chicken, bone-in. I was like, oh, I kind of remember throwing this together. It didn't have a label because we hadn't planned it ahead of time, but it did have baked Italian chicken written on the bag. And for some reason, I just like ignored the baked part. And I threw them in this giant skillet. And then because they have sort of a breading on them, like they were sticking to the skillet. So my husband's eating these and he's like, these are so good. Like, you should totally make these again. Oh my, like they're juicy and like the flavor is just spot on. But you know, I think maybe they would be better baked. So I told that story to Christy.
And so I did bake mine.
And you sent me a picture.
And I sent you a picture, and they are perfect. They are beautiful.
They're a to keep recipe.
Yeah.
And that you sent me the picture like the next day, or like.
Yeah, we had it really
back,
short time together. Yeah.
Anyway, so we do pop in future videos and let you know how these recipes turned out. And you'll have to watch a whole bunch because you never know what's going to show up in what video. We're a little scattered that way. Anyway.
We're scattered on the best of days, but here we are. Okay, I'll tell you why I said Calamity. Oh, Calamity. Okay, I am a reader. I'm a listener. I do audiobooks. It's easier. I can do things while I do it, so I can like get through a ton of them. And
I cannot stand audiobooks at all. And so
she's a reader.
Yes.
And so I've got it cranked up to about 145. It's fast.
Yeah.
It's not nearly as fast as some people, but it's pretty fast. And I had finished up The Two Towers. I'm reading Lord of the Rings this summer because I have never. And so there's another lady in our book club that is also, like, we're just on the side. It's not part of book club. She just mentioned it. And I'm like, I'll do that with you. And I think there's a couple of us that are reading it over the summer. So I'd finished up The Two Towers. And I was waiting for The Return of the King. I have it on hold on the Libby app. If you don't have the Libby app, get the Libby app. You can get books from the library through
like
your Libby app. Audiobooks and like book books, but you can put them on your e-reader, right? And so I often, when I'm waiting, I will go through I will sort by audiobook, then by available now, and then by popularity. Unless I want something spicy, and then I will sort also through romance. But I just sort through for popularity. And the top book that was available was called Apples Never Fall, and it's by an Australian author named Leanne Moriarty. And so I listened to this book over 4 or 5 days, and I was entranced. It is probably one of the best books I've read this year.
Oh.
And I have read some spanking good books this year. And I liked her writing so much that when I finished that one, I immediately got another one. And so the book I'm reading right now is Big Little Lies. And I want to say that there's a TV show
Well,
Big Little Lies?
There's a TV show about something about lies, so maybe.
Is there Big Lies, Big Little Lies? Is there a TV show about that?
Maybe.
So when I saw that, I thought, okay, I'm gonna get that because then I can watch the show. I always like to do book first, then the movie or the show, right? Always. So I am reading it, and one of the mothers in it, and it's this drama that's happening around these preschool, kindergarten children and their mothers.
Okay.
And it is drama, like drama, and that's why it's probably on TV too. And one of the mums, it's just a phrase that they say in their family and I think it's from a book from when her daughter was little. It was her daughter's favorite book. And if something has gone wrong, she says, "Oh, Calamity." And it's just funny. It's just funny. And so I've said it over the last couple of days, and my family looks at me like, and I'm like, do you even know what a calamity is? Because I'll tell you. But so it was apt today to say, "Oh, Calamity."
Calamity.
Because that's kind of what it was.
I thought it was because you have those mugs.
I do have those mugs.
Yes.
They're called Calamity ware. It's like proper china. And you know how like the Dutch china has the blue and white and it's the windmills? Well, it looks like that, except it's horror scenes. So there's like aliens and a Sasquatch and robots that are gonna kill you. And so I have this set of mugs by Calamity ware.
I think they're funny.
They're
because,
hilarious.
Like, you're expecting, like, you know, I mean, my husband's Dutch, so
These nice scenic
mom
tulips
has
and
real, you know, Dutch ware, and it's like you're expecting that, and you're drinking from it, and you're like, what am I looking at?
I know, like, is that robot like laser killing that person? Yes. Yes, he is. There's a sea monster coming out of the ocean, and it's called Calamity ware. It's made in Poland by a Polish guy who's designed it all, and I have a set, and years ago, I broke one. Do you remember? And she was on her way out to an appointment, and I was cleaning up my dishwasher, and one slipped out of my hand, and I went to catch it. And you know how they say that there's no handle on a falling knife? Well,
Yeah.
I should not have tried to catch this. But I have a tile countertop, and I was worried it would break, and it did. And it was this hand, and it completely sliced this finger open. And so I phoned Charla, and I said, "What are you doing? Are you busy? I think I need to go to the hospital and I need a ride." So she canceled her appointment, bless her heart, and took me to the hospital. Now this was like mid-COVID.
It might have been.
Because
yeah.
I
wasn't allowed to go in with you.
You were not allowed to come in with me, and I was still working for my old company from home.
Yes.
Because we were still all working from home, right?
What a day.
And the funny, bad, interesting Calamity thing about it, the irony that I was wrecked by my Calamity ware cup. The calamity of it was we were doing our mega session.
Oh, we were, like,
And
right after
Right
that.
after, like 2 days later. And so in that mega session, now this is years ago, like in 2022, in that mega session, my finger is wrapped. Mm-hmm. And
we had to be so careful.
We had to be, so I didn't get it wet, and so I didn't want to infect food. Like I couldn't cross contaminate. I had to be so careful, and it was so awkward. There's always something in a mega session, and it's almost always me that is.
It's kind of true.
It's
and in regular life, it's always me.
Right?
I mean, it's not me. It's my family.
It's her life.
My children, but.
Yes, but in the mega sessions,
it's always
me that messes something up. I had a cold one time recently, and I sounded terrible. The last one, I had to leave on the second day because I had the second funeral in a week, so my head was not all there. I had to go to the dentist for an emergency, fix my tooth because I had a mishap with the church pew. It's a long story. So
it is.
Oh, Calamity.
Yes.
So if you have read Big Little Lies or Apples Never Fall, they're both interesting books by a really great Australian author, and I will probably keep reading her stuff. I enjoyed it a lot.
And I am reading Between Two Kingdoms, a memoir of a life interrupted. Oh my goodness, the author, it starts with an S, and it's not a common name, and I'm gonna forget, but I'll figure it out and I'll put it in the description, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, you can look it up on Goodreads or on, Amazon or wherever you look at
Google.
books, and you'll figure it out. But it's really well written. I'm about a third of the way, almost halfway maybe, done. And
Fiction or nonfiction?
nonfiction, it's
Okay.
a memoir.
Oh.
And it's about, she's like 22 maybe when she's diagnosed with cancer and given a 35% chance of survival. So it's just like her life is going this way, and then, does it turn this way. And a lot of us have lived through an event different than that event, but an event where your life is going this way, and then it takes a very sharp
Calamity.
turn, right? And so, it's relatable in that way. But yeah, I'm enjoying that. And then I'm also I'm always reading like 2 or 3 books at the same time. I'm reading this one, and I've been reading it forever. It's like Thinking Fast and Slow.
Oh, yeah.
I've been I'm taking a slow route, ironically, to Thinking Fast and Slow. But it's one of those ones where you kind of have to process, and like I'm not always in the mood to read that because it's not the most fun read, but it is interesting, and I am going to finish it. It's just like I've kind of put it aside.
Sometimes you need, especially with really heady things, you need to take bite-sized bits, right? It's okay.
Yes.
I'm doing that with Factfulness. Your husband recommended it, and he had read it for a work thing. Somebody had given it to him. So I am listening to it every once in a while, but it's information-packed.
Yes.
And it's good, but it's just bite-sized. That's all I can do right now with that.
And I'm reading Kitchen Confidential.
Are
by
you?
Anthony Bourdain, because you recommended it. Well, you
I didn't
recommended
finish it.
And the guy from the bookshop that I love recommended it.
I had it on Libby, so it was on loan from the library. You have 21 days, and I did not finish it in 21 days. I like Anthony Bourdain. I like his writing style. I didn't love the stories because they're hard. It
is hard.
That's not fair. It's okay to read hard things. I just it didn't grab me. It grabs so many people, it didn't grab me. So I'm very curious how you're liking it.
So I think, the thing that I am liking the most is it's maybe like the 20 or 30th year anniversary edition or whatever it is. I don't remember if it's the 20th or the 30th, but he wrote comments in what I think is his handwriting, like through the book. To say, like, no, this is no longer relevant, or yes, this still happens. Because it's about, I don't know if you're familiar, but it's about how restaurants actually run. And it's like things like, you don't want to order fish on a Monday, or I think maybe it's a Tuesday.
Because they got it on
Thursday.
Thursday or Friday, and it's sat all weekend. So things like that. But he's saying whether or not those, like in my edition of the book, he's saying whether or not that's
those
still
things
relevant.
are relevant. And he's also saying like, oh, what a pompous jerk I was back then, and things like that.
Good, because sometimes he was a pompous jerk, and that was part of why I had trouble with it. Now, because I do an audiobook, I wouldn't get the benefit of reading the anniversary edition.
He's literally circled sections and has an arrow and is like, I'm so embarrassed reading this back or whatever,
That's hilarious.
And so I'm really enjoying those bits, and they're just here and there. They're not all over the place, but when I get to those, I always think that that's even more interesting because you're getting his perspective on him reading it back and reflecting as a more mature person. So I can lend it to you.
I might read this. I might give it another shot after if I can read those notes, because that sounds he's a super interesting guy to me, and I've watched a lot of his shows. I thought this, because people have been raving about this book for years, clearly, and I was a little sad that it didn't grab me, and because I just kind of thought, he's kind of a dink.
I'm interested in the food part of it.
But it doesn't cover the food part of it quite the way you think it's gonna.
No, and
he
I
does
thought
say
it would have more passion stuff to it about different chefs and their passion, which I'm so excited about that. I love watching anyone that's passionate about anything. Have you ever watched a documentary and the person is talking about something that you didn't even really know existed.
And you're just enthralled.
Yes, because they are so passionate about it, and they just bring that passion like to you. And that's one of my favorite things, is like, it doesn't matter what it is. Like I'm watching this documentary right now on Netflix about sprinters, and
Oh, I saw it. I haven't started it.
and it's just,
I'm watching the one about the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders.
see, it's just like things that you don't know that much about, but
Yeah.
when somebody, or even like golfing, like you could not pay me enough money to watch golfing. Like to me, it's so boring. Christy golfs. So,
I have watched golfing, and I have found it interesting in the past.
but I watched this show about professional golfers and was just enthralled. Like it captivated me because they're excited, they're passionate, they're sharing that, and they want you to like catch the spirit of it. And so they're just so excited, and then you get swept up in it, and like suddenly you're like golfing. Right?
It's so funny. I know you were showing me an article this morning about journalists, and it was fascinating. Photojournalism.
Like, because it's a world I know nothing about. Like I'm decidedly not even good about taking pictures with my phone. Like I'm just not naturally talented in a photography way. Ironic, because my brother used to be a professional photographer. I cannot take photos well, but
Isn't it
interesting to
But you're right. It's
hear
about
their perspectives.
finding somebody else's passion and how they present it. And there's other ones that fall flat that, you know, they are presenting your passion. And I'm like, I don't need to know about cryptocurrency that much. Thank you very much.
But if it was presented in a way
Maybe,
that, you know,
right?
Yeah.
Yes, I know. I know.
We have like super
Digressed.
gone like this, and
That's okay.
Kitchen Confidential is like somewhat related to food, so maybe but no, I mean, we're just sharing our lives, and
That's our favorite thing to do, honestly.
yeah, we love to do that with you.
We're passionate about freezer meals, and honestly, that's why a lot of you are here, sharing our passion, because you are passionate about freezer meals.
I am weirdly passionate
about freezer meals.
And one of these days we're actually going to do a video. We've kind of talked about why before. Like we've touched on why I'm passionate about freezer meals and you're passionate about freezer meals. But we haven't like gone deep in that.
Right.
And we are going to do a video coming up that does get into that a little bit more. And maybe you'll understand that I'm not like this lady that has lost her mind. Because she's excited about freezer meals. I've lost my mind for completely other reasons.
We're going to do a very terrible segue into our outro, and thank you so much for joining us today.
We're going to put a video right there to that mega session where it was a calamity.
Which one?
The last one.
Oh, the last one.
And if I can find it, I will do the one with Christy's cut finger, and it's really old, so you'll see like my 1986 oak kitchen, and you'll see when we were just starting to film. It might have been one of the first mega sessions we ever filmed of all time. I'll see if I can find it. If I can't, it will not be in the description. If I can, it'll be sitting right there. So thank you for joining us. We're gonna try these meals, and then in future videos we'll let you know what we thought of them. And of course, if they are amazing, delicious, and hold up texture-wise and flavor-wise, they will appear in the Freezer Meals 101 Club. So thanks so much for being here, and happy cooking.
Bye.